Understanding the manager's job, Mbap 501. Management, organization, a group of people working together in a structured and coordinated way to form a common goal. Together, they fashion and achieve a set of achievements that they want to score as a team. Some things they want to gain together as a team to profit from it. Management defined as a group of activities including planning, plotting, strategizing, decision making, organizing, primary responsibilities to carry out management processes. Efficient timing is part of that. Using resources wisely, effective means of making goals and opportunities connect with one another. The right decisions and things also to help make a group a better determination to win. Successfully, most groups that have good managers are not selfish. Managers stick together. I believe that the manager is the cohesive glue that keeps the whole connection together. What I learned from chapter 1 in understanding the manager's job is there's levels of management. You have top line managers, middle managers, first line managers with the workers, and basic management function is planning, decision making, and organizing. With planning, it's setting goals and organizational goals from the top to the bottom. It gets everything in order for the client. Decisions on how to achieve the goals. Decision making is part of the planning process. Also involves strategizing, selecting a cause of action, or selecting a course of action of how you're going to move with the situation from one set of alternatives to another. Organizing the goals, planning out the goals, and developing a working strategy to plan the alternatives of what they're going to go with the group. Management function is organizing people, also almost like a human resources type of deal, where you get people in a certain way how you want them to move and how you want to go with your plan. Leading is the third basic part of management. It's a function in leading. It sets a process of how you want to determine of how you want to go. It's used to get members in an organization on a goal that you want to achieve, basically, with leading. Controlling, it sounds ugly, but it's a phrase. It monitors the organization process toward gaining goals that you need to have gain, opportunities, controlling the drive of what you want the organization to do. Basically, example of that would be upper line management would see a certain way they want the company to move, and they would decide to start moving the company that way, forcing employees to move a certain way, to conduct themselves a certain way. You would need good fundamental management skills, and that's one thing I read in the notes and I paid attention to. I seen that fundamental management skills, they rely on a certain number of different functions, fundamental management skills to make things complete. Technical, interpersonal, conceptual, dynastic, communication, decision making, time management skills. And of all these skills, time management is the most important skill, because if a management group does not have good time management skills, it passes down to the workers, who again will not use time management skills wisely and will waste time and not get anything done. Time management is very important for a group of decision makers, because if you don't have time management skills, you will not be able to gain positive traction with your company. Technical skills is a specific kind of work done in an organization structure. It's important for first line managers to have technical skills. I think technical skills are important with managers, because for first line workers, you need to know if they're doing the job correctly. You have to have a just for what they're doing to know if they're putting on or putting out. And if you have a group of workers who are not doing their job, and you don't have the technical skills, you won't have the savvy to know what is going on and what is not going on. That's an important part of fundamental management skills. Interpersonal skills is also an important thing. The ability to communicate with people, the ability to pass on groups of ideas, to navigate ideas to individuals and groups also, to be commingle with groups also. It's almost like you have to have a certain type of charisma to deal with certain individuals on a person-to-person basis, and that's a good thing in management to pass on to other people. Conceptual skills. Conceptual skills is basically good thinking skills. It depends on the manager's ability to think in an abstract mindset. They should have a good mental capacity, a good mental fortitude to deal with certain individuals. Managers that fly off the handle cannot, I apologize, managers that follow certain protocols cannot fly off the handle. They should be able to have a good standard of grit about them, a grit to determine what needs to be placed and what needs to move forward. Dynastic skills is another thing fundamental management skills have. It enables them to visualize what they see and what they want to see. It's like kind of like putting a picture to a frame of what is supposed to happen in a situation. Communication skills is another good fundamental skill for management. The effective ability to pass on skill sets and drive that you want to happen in your group. Time management skills, the last one, is very important. Like I said before previously, if your management skills of time is not in order, everything else will fall out of order. So basically, we could find out that management has a science to it. A science where certain deals, certain things going on, you have to have a certain just for it. There's a certain feel to it. Problems and issues can approach in certain ways. If you don't have the type of scientific know-how to deal with these problems, you will create a bigger problem for yourself and your corporation. A lot of companies hire people to have a mindset of a business owner rather than a worker, because a worker will not concentrate on time management, but the business owner will concentrate on time management, because loss of time is a loss of money. Loss of production and productivity is a loss of money. It's a tragic thing that goes on if you don't have the proper means to stop it from happening. Logical theory. And theory is placing things in advance of what can happen. What can happen if this happens, this should happen. You should have a conceptual framework of theory to organize your knowledge, organize your people in certain areas. So you would want to organize your workers in the best way to promote their ideas that you want to perform. If you don't have them in a certain line of work, you might have a problem. I believe that I would not put a person with a strong conceptual mindset on the floor sweeping, because he serves no purpose on the floor sweeping. I believe everybody should be in their proper fortitude when working. Scientific management is basically what that is. Scientific management is the belief that problems can be approached in a certain way, in a scientific way, to handle them to the best approach. It's ways of rational, logical, and mental fortitude that gains data. It gathers data and facts and puts them in objective knowledge. Look into quantitative reasoning when going into new areas of thinking. And most managers go off their gut. What is the intuition of what they think they should do? Some of them fly by the seat of their pants, and that's not a good thing. But most good managers have mental fortitude and intuition for what they believe should be. What they believe should be, what factual should be. So I believe the scientific management and the mental intuition and fortitude of a good manager will cause success in places where other people might not see the success. Also, another thing with conceptual framework is theory. If you don't have a certain type of theory, I believe the theory is an important jewel to management, because theory provides a guide, a plan, and a course of action. Without a theory, you won't have workers that will respect you. If you can explain and communicate that theory to these workers, you will know that I have a fortitude and this is what I accept and this is what you should do. Also a history of understanding mental breakdowns, major mishaps, problems that were from other managers in the past that they had to deal with. I believe history shows a way of repeating itself. So a good manager will study the failures of other people and try to see them before they become a problem for them. I believe history and a history of understanding the context of mental management in theory also provides managers with a fortitude to learn to walk away from mistakes before they happen. And good managers have that. Good managers have a historical framework of, okay, this is what happened with my company before. This was a major failure. We're not going down this part anyway. So I believe that historical fortitude of management is a very important thing. Classical management perspectives was another thing that was in the chapter that I paid attention to. It includes two different viewpoints: scientific management and administrative management. Scientific management uses capabilities of a worker in their strengths. It uses theories of what the worker can do best to produce good for the company, to be productive, proactive. It's a science development from certain elements in the worker's DNA for methods to become sufficient to become productive. So because of scientific management, some managers are successful more than others because they will allow and they will put themselves and they'll put their teams in a form to win. A form to win such things like, I know my people are good in the morning. My company runs 24/7, so I'll take my strongest workers and put them in the morning where I have most productivity. And at night, I have workers that basically do recon work. So everything that was messed up during the day, they go back and reconcile. So I feel that would be a good thing of scientific management. That's an example I see of scientific management and growth. Another thing you also can get from the lesson is they use capabilities of a worker in a way to benefit those theories. So like if I have a worker that's strong in one area, he's weak in another area, I'm not going to put him in a situation where his weaknesses can befall him. That's another thing about scientific management. Scientific management takes and studies certain situations and strengths of their workers. It also has a system set in place by companies, whatever theory that they use, to allow their workers to be the best they can be. Administrative management, it focuses on management of the total organization, almost like a one size fits all situation. They don't go into the gist of studying one situation of the company. They study the situation of the whole company. Administrative management, that's a manager that basically watches every part of the company. He doesn't have the time to certain extents to study scientific management of what's a good worker and why is a good worker. He might not know his workers personally. He's administrative. He's more hands-on with the business end of paying bills and other things like that. Classical management is used for digital commerce, supply chain. That's another thing I got out of it. Classical management works good in companies like supply chain companies, digital e-commerce, because it's more hit and quit. It's more in the face. It is what it is. It's simple facts. So basically, that's the difference between the two. With scientific management and administrative management, you have a lot that you can learn, a lot that you can give to others. I think that scientific management is more important than administrative management in success nowadays with new companies, because these companies change on a dime so fast. So you have to be scientific. You have to have a certain type of model that you go through with these companies, and that's the only way your company will be successful. Behavioral management is another important thing in management that I got from this reading. Managers place emphasis on individual attitudes. You might have a certain worker that comes in and says, okay, Monday through Thursday, I won't do any work. I'm going to do just enough to get by. Thursday, I'll do good work. Friday, I'll be on a decline. That is basically a stated fact. GM noted that most of their vehicles that they had problems with were built on Mondays and Fridays. The workers were coming back from a weekend of partying and drunk, and they would make mistakes. Fridays, they was waiting to get off to have fun, and they would make mistakes. And it got to their customers that if you bought a vehicle that was made on Monday and Friday, you bought a lemon. So a lot of people They were losing a lot of work. So what they did, they started putting serial numbers in certain ways where people couldn't figure out what day that car was built. And it helped their company to a little bit, but it was just a band-aid. I believe behavioral management changes that. And they did that. They started drug testing the workers. They started placing police officers in the automobile factories to stop people from buying drugs and doing drugs at work. So that's another part of the behavioral process where you can control a situation through management. Human relations management is almost like an HR worker. Um, excuse the pardon. They respond primarily to social contexts of the workplace, social norms, irregular norms, things that go on in the workplace, problems with the workplace. You might have a bullying situation in the workplace. Human relations management deals with that. You might have a situation where the people are afraid to talk because of a situation of comeback, retribution. So many of your workers will not say nothing. So if you have a good human relations management team, you'll be able to nip it in the bud, so to say. A lot of workers won't come to work and tell you what's going on. Some people will mind their business, but I feel if you have a good human relations management system set up with theory and implementing the theory, you would be successful because your company will have the just to handle their business. There's also a determination that I read, something in the reading, Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X was relatively pessimistic, and Theory Y was positive. If you have pessimistic people like Theory X that work for you, it will affect all your workers because pessimistic people leech on to other people. And Theory Y is more positive. I believe people that see the glass is almost full see it better than people that are halfway empty. So being with Theory X and Theory Y has a direct complication to each other. And with working with people and working together with people, because people spend more time at work than they do at home, it's better to have a Theory Y. So I believe if you make your workplace more like Theory Y, you'll have a better success story. So management plays a very important role in getting people to get on situations like that. Pessimisticity doesn't do anything in the workplace. It brings down productivity. It brings down everything. And when you don't have productivity, you don't have money. And if you don't have income, you do not have a business. Another thing I read about was organizational behavior. Organizational behavior acknowledges the human behavior in a situation, in a company. Organizational behavior will be like everybody coming to work drunk. Organizational behavior can be where everybody comes to work focused, resolve, and push. And organizational behavior starts from the top down. So if you have an organization where the behavior is a certain way, and you will have workers that act a certain way. So I believe if you want good results, the bosses have to give results. They have to give work that they wouldn't mind doing themselves. And I believe respect goes a long way. So an organizational behavior means that everybody is treated a certain way. You cannot have a situation where certain people believe they're above or beyond retribution or some type of punishment for things that they don't do or do. This study of organizational behavior includes psychology, sociology, anthropology, economics, medicine. There's many different things that people can study with behavioral and organizational behavior. I believe certain companies you can see just through I would say, the reactions of how they act and how they push themselves in social media. You could tell the behavior of the organization, or you could basically say you understand the organizational behavior. Such as some companies who run real laid back, where the CEO says anything out of his mouth, and then he'll come back and stop it. Prime example is Tesla. Elon Musk will say one thing for a joke and have his whole company he'll stir commotion and attention to his name, and he feeds off of that. And I believe he likes that because he could control what society thinks, he could control what the business world thinks, and that's a power trip for some people. And I'm sure that organizational behavior, that behavior controls that organization, and the upper management moves the same way because you move as the fuel that fuels your fire, and the fuel that fuels that company's fire is Elon Musk. So with the organization, I'm sure it's a lot of organizational leaders that behave in that certain type of way. Another thing we focused on in this chapter was quantitative management. Quantitative management is focusing on decision making, effectiveness of decisions, methods of decision, use of competitors, situation. It has two functions to it also: management science and quantitative science, quantitative approach to science. Management science is basically a mathematical approach to a situation, saying that if I put out this type of energy, I should get this certain response back to it. This process keeps things in a certain type of order. It keeps things in a simple order. It's pretty good. It gets things accomplished, and it's real simple way of getting things done. There's another type of management is operation management. It's a form of applied management science. It's concerned with helping the organization produce products geared towards more of efficiency. Operation management is a good part of management. It's an important part of management because if you have a company that's like an industry where they have a certain type of rotation, if you don't have operation management, you won't have quality control. You won't have assurability. You won't have accountability. And I believe in management, accountability is very important. And the book didn't go into accountability too much in this chapter, but it sort of did in operation management because that's an accountability thing. And an organization that doesn't have accountability doesn't have efficiency. So if you want accountability, if you want efficiency, you have to have accountability because your workers have to be accountable. I believe management has to be accountable to the workers, and workers have to be accountable to the type of work that they put out. Another thing we went over in the work in this chapter was contemporary management perspective. You have systems perspectives. You also have a management's perspective of the systems perspective. It's an important part of contemporary management. It's a set of elements where you have an open system and a closed system. The open system interacts with the environment. The closed system doesn't interact with this environment. An open system in management would be basically where you would have certain individuals that deal with the workers on a day-to-day basis. A closed system would be management from the top down, like from a high house on the hill, and he would pass the information down. He has no reaction of what he puts out. He has no feeling of what he puts out. I believe that type of management is bad. It's not adaptive. It's not reactive. And in management, you have to be reactive to the point that if you put out some bad information, you know that, wow, I made a mistake. So if you're not reactive to the situation, you'll never know what did you do, what did you do wrong, or how to fix the situation that you did. I believe in all management coexisting with one another. This was a good chapter because in this chapter you learn the scientific management of management. And it's a science to it. And if you don't have that just in that determination to work in a scientific type way, your business won't evolve. Your business won't rotate. It will become stagnant. So I believe basically marketing in chapter 1 and management in the second chapter coexist with each other. So if you don't have those two facets of togetherness and cohesiveness with one another, as such as marketing and management, your business will not be successful. And management is the glue that sticks the foundation to marketing. So without proper management, you will not have proper marketing, because marketing follows to management like management follows to marketing. And I believe that management is the foundation to the business, because management creates discipline. Management creates the know-how, the just, and the go to go forward with your position in the business that you want to go with. Thank you.